The pain of losing my husband is truly sad. Imagine this. You've just lost someone dear to you. Maybe your husband, your partner, the person who stood by your side through life's ups and downs. The pain feels heavy, like a weight pressing down on your chest, and the silence in your home is louder than any words could ever be. It's a hurt that doesn't go away overnight. Death is a part of life, something we all face eventually, but when it's someone so close, like a spouse, that grief can feel overwhelming, almost unbearable. I've been there too, in my own way, watching friends and family wrestle with that kind of loss. And here's what I've learned. While we can't bring them back, we can find a way to carry on. For me, and maybe for you too, that way is through prayer. Just 8 minutes a day, a small moment of quiet with God, can change everything. Let me tell you why and how. When death leaves a void, losing a husband isn't just losing a person, it's losing a piece of your everyday life. Maybe he was the one who made your morning coffee just the way you liked it, or the one who always knew how to make you laugh when the world felt too heavy. Now, those little routines are gone, and the emptiness echoes in every corner of the house. I remember a friend of mine, Sarah, who lost her husband unexpectedly to a heart attack. She told me how she'd sit at the kitchen table each morning, staring at his empty chair, wondering how she'd face the day without him. "It's not just that he's gone," she said. "It's that I don't know who I am without him." That's the thing about grief. It's not just sadness. It's confusion, anger, loneliness, all tangled up together. And when it's your spouse, the person you built a life with, that tangle feels even tighter. You might ask yourself, what do I do now? How do I keep going? The truth is, there's no quick fix. No one can snap their fingers and make the pain disappear. But there's something you can do, something simple yet powerful. You can lift that burden up to God. You can pray. 8 minutes. Just the length of a short walk or a cup of tea can become a lifeline. Why prayer matters. Now, you might be thinking, prayer? Really? How's that going to help when my heart's broken? I get it. When you're hurting, it's easy to feel like nothing can reach you, not even God. But hear me out. Prayer isn't about magically erasing the pain. It's about giving it somewhere to go. It's like handing over a heavy load to someone stronger than you. When you pray, you're not just talking to the air. You're speaking to a God who listens, who sees every tear, and who promises to carry you through. Think of it this way. In those 8 minutes, you're not alone anymore. You're sitting with God, letting Him hold your sorrow so you don't have to bear it all by yourself. The Bible says in Psalm 34:18, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That's not just a pretty line, it's a promise. And in those moments of prayer, you can feel that closeness, even if it's just a whisper of peace at first. I've seen it work wonders. Take my friend Sarah again. After her husband passed, she started praying every night. Not long, just a few minutes before bed. She'd light a candle, sit quietly, and talk to God about her day, her fears, her memories of her husband. At first, she said it felt awkward, like she was talking to an empty room. But over time, something shifted. "It's like I could feel him being taken care of," she told me. I'd pray for God to hold him in His arms, and somehow it made me feel lighter too. 8 minutes to peace. So what does this 8-minute prayer look like? It doesn't have to be fancy or complicated. You don't need to be a poet or a preacher. It's just you and God having a conversation. Maybe you start by sitting somewhere quiet, your bedroom, your porch, wherever feels safe. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the words come. They don't even have to be perfect. Here's an example of what you might say. "Lord, I'm hurting today. I miss him so much. The way he smiled, the way he made me feel whole. I don't know how to do this without him. Please take care of him for me. Let him rest in your arms, safe and at peace. And please, Give me strength to face tomorrow. I trust you, even when it's hard. That's it. No rules, no script you have to follow. Some days you might cry through it. Other days you might just sit in silence, letting God fill the space. The point is, those 8 minutes are yours. A sacred little window where you can lay down your grief and pick up a bit of hope. And here's the beautiful part. It's not just about asking for peace for your loved one. It's about finding peace for yourself too. When you pray for your husband's soul, imagining him cradled in God's love, it's like you're building a bridge between this world and the next. You're letting go of the need to control what you can't and trusting that he's in better hands now. A deeper connection. Let's dig a little deeper. Prayer isn't just a one-way street. It's a relationship. When you spend those 8 minutes with God every day, you're not just asking for things. You're opening your heart to hear him too. Maybe it's not an audible voice, but a quiet sense of comfort, a memory that pops into your mind, or even a stranger's kind word later that day. God speaks in subtle ways, and prayer tunes you in to notice them. I think of a woman I met at a church group once, Linda. She'd lost her husband to cancer after 40 years of marriage. She told me how, in her prayers, she started feeling like her husband was still with her. Not in a spooky way, but in a peaceful one. One day while praying, she remembered a silly joke he used to tell about a duck and a farmer. It made her laugh out loud for the first time in months. It was like God nudged me to remember the good stuff, she said. And it didn't take away the sadness, but it made it softer. That's what prayer can do. It softens the edges. It doesn't mean you'll never miss your husband or feel that ache in your chest, but it gives you a way to carry it, a way to weave those memories into something beautiful instead of just painful. Grief is a journey, not a destination. Here's something I want you to know. Grief doesn't have a finish line. It's not like you pray for a few weeks and suddenly you're over it. Anyone who tells you that hasn't been through it. Grief is a journey, and it changes shape over time. Some days you'll feel strong, like you can face the world with a smile. Other days you'll stumble, and that's okay. Prayer isn't about rushing through the journey. It's about having a companion along the way. Think of it like walking a long road. Your husband's death dropped you off at the start of this path, and it's rocky, winding, sometimes dark. But when you pray, it's like God walks beside you, holding a lantern to light the way. You might not see the end of the road yet, but you can see the next step. And that's enough for now. I've talked to so many people who've walked this road. One man, James, lost his wife of 25 years to a car accident. He started praying every morning just 8 minutes before work. He told me how, over months, those prayers became his anchor. I'd ask God to keep her safe in heaven, he said, and one day I realized I wasn't just praying for her. I was praying for me too. I needed to know I could still bless. Uska told me something else. Death is inevitable, but it doesn't mean life stops for those left behind. Prayer keeps us connected to the ones we've lost, not in a physical way, but in a spiritual one. That stuck with me. It's a reminder that even when someone's gone, the love doesn't end. It just changes. Practical steps to start. If you're new to this, starting a prayer habit might feel daunting, but it's simpler than you think. Here's a little guide to get you going. 1. Find your spot. Pick a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Maybe it's a cozy chair by the window or a spot in your garden. 2. Set a timer. 8 minutes isn't long, just enough to settle in without feeling rushed. Use your phone or a clock if it helps. 3. Breathe deep. Take a moment to relax. Let the tension slip out of your shoulders. 4. Speak from the heart. Tell God what's on your mind. Your sadness, your hopes, your memories. Be honest. 5. End with thanks. Even in grief, there's something to be grateful for. Maybe a good memory or a kind friend. Thank God for it. You don't need fancy words or a theology degree. God's not grading you. He's listening with love. A promise of rest. Here's the heart of it. When you pray, you're not just easing your own pain, you're entrusting your husband to God's care. Picture this, him resting in God's arms, peaceful, free from struggle. It's a comforting image, isn't it? The Bible says in Revelation 21 verse 4, He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. That's the hope we hold on to, not just for them, but for us too one day. I believe that 8 minutes of prayer can bring that promise closer. It's a way to say, Lord, I trust you with him and I trust you with me. And bit by bit, day by day, you'll feel it. His grace lifting you up, his peace settling in. A final thought. Losing your husband is one of the hardest things you'll ever face. I won't pretend it's not, but you don't have to face it alone. 8 minutes a day, just a small slice of time, can open the door to healing. It's not about forgetting him or moving on like he never mattered. It's about carrying him in your heart in a new way with God's help. So try it. Tonight, before you go to bed, sit down for 8 minutes. Talk to God. Tell him about your husband, your love, your loss. Ask him to hold your husband close, to let him sleep in his arms, and ask him for strength just for tomorrow. I promise you, he's listening. And over time, you'll see his grace shine through, even in the darkest moments. You're not alone on this road. God's with you, and so are the prayers of everyone who's walked it before. Take those 8 minutes. Let them be your light. After watching, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. I have many good videos to share. Learn to give, and God will give you peace.